At this very moment, somewhere in the United States, a decision is being made by a machine. It is not a recommendation. It is not a draft waiting for approval. It is a final judgment. The system decides which job applicant will be rejected before a human ever reads the resume. It decides which face in a crowd deserves closer attention. It decides which online post will be amplified and which voice will be silenced. There is no signature at the bottom of the page, no human eyes reviewing the outcome. The decision happens silently, instantly, and without emotion. For most of American history, power was visible. It lived in government buildings, corporate boardrooms, military bases, and courtrooms. You could point to it. You could argue with it. You could vote against it. But artificial intelligence represents a new form of power, one that operates invisibly, embedded inside software, hidden behind friendly interfaces and neutral language. It does not look dangerous. It looks efficient. The idea of intelligent machines has fascinated Americans for generations. Early computers were massive, slow, and limited. They followed instructions exactly as written. They could calculate faster than humans, but they could not think. That limitation made people comfortable. As long as machines depended on humans to tell them what to do, control remained firmly in human hands. That sense of control shaped decades of technological optimism. Then something changed. Instead of being programmed step by step, machines began to learn from data. They observed patterns, adjusted behavior, and improved performance without explicit instructions. This shift was subtle but profound. Learning systems no longer required humans to understand every decision they made. They simply needed data, vast amounts of it. And America, more than any other country, was producing data at an unprecedented scale. Every click, every purchase, every message, every location ping added to a growing digital portrait of American life. Social media platforms tracked behavior. Smartphones recorded movement. Online services stored preferences. What began as convenience slowly transformed into a comprehensive surveillance ecosystem, not run by a single authority, but by interconnected systems optimized for prediction and control. In Silicon Valley, AI was marketed as progress. Startups promised smarter cities, safer streets, and more personalized experiences. Corporations embraced automation to reduce costs and increase speed. Government agencies adopted predictive systems to manage everything from traffic flow to criminal risk assessment. Each use case seemed reasonable in isolation. Together, they created something far more powerful. In American workplaces, the impact arrived quietly. At first, AI tools assisted workers. Software helped accountants process data faster. Chat systems supported customer service agents. Recommendation engines guided sales decisions. Productivity increased, profits rose, and companies celebrated innovation. Few noticed that with every task delegated to a machine, human skills were becoming less necessary. Then assistance became replacement. Call centers reduced staff as AI voices learned to handle conversations with near-human fluency. Warehouses replaced pickers with autonomous robots guided by machine vision. Trucking companies began testing self-driving fleets that could operate day and night without fatigue. News organizations experimented with automated reporting. Legal firms used AI to analyze contracts in seconds. Even creative industries felt the pressure as algorithms learned to generate images, music, and scripts. For workers, the shift was devastating and confusing. Jobs did not disappear overnight. Instead, roles slowly eroded. Fewer people were needed. Wages stagnated. Temporary contracts replaced stable employment. Workers were told to reskill, adapt, and embrace the future. But retraining does not guarantee demand, and not everyone can become a software engineer. In rural towns and industrial cities, the effects were especially severe. Factories that once employed generations shut down or automated. Communities built around manufacturing struggled to survive. The promise that technology would create new opportunities felt hollow to those watching their livelihoods vanish. Yet the systems responsible were abstract, distant, and difficult to challenge. At the same time, AI was expanding its reach into law enforcement and public safety. Police departments across the United States adopted predictive policing software designed to forecast crime hotspots. The logic was simple: analyze historical crime data, identify patterns, and deploy resources more efficiently. But the data reflected decades of biased policing, unequal enforcement, and social inequality. When AI learned from this data, it inherited those biases. Neighborhoods already over-policed became even more heavily monitored. Communities of color were labeled high risk by algorithms that did not understand context, history, or humanity. Officers trusted the software because it appeared objective. The machine was not racist, they said. It was just data. But data does not exist in a vacuum. It carries the weight of human decisions. Facial recognition technology accelerated these concerns. Cameras connected to AI systems could scan crowds in real time, matching faces against databases of suspects. Supporters argued this would prevent crime and improve security. Critics warned of misidentification, lack of oversight, and mass surveillance. Studies showed higher error rates for women and minorities. Despite this, the technology spread. In airports, stadiums, and city streets, AI watched silently. It did not sleep, it did not blink, it did not forget. For many Americans, this level of surveillance was unimaginable just a decade earlier, yet it arrived not through dramatic legislation, but through incremental adoption, one pilot program at a time. The justice system also felt the influence of artificial intelligence. Judges began using risk assessment algorithms to guide sentencing and parole decisions. These systems evaluated defendants based on factors such as prior arrests, employment history, and personal background. The goal was to reduce human bias and improve consistency. In practice, the results were deeply controversial. Defendants labeled high risk by algorithms faced harsher outcomes, even when judges could not fully explain how the score was calculated. Proprietary software prevented transparency. Appeals were difficult. Accountability was unclear. When an algorithm influenced a life-altering decision, who was responsible? The developer? The judge? The data? Healthcare offered another glimpse into AI's growing authority. Hospitals used machine learning to predict patient outcomes, prioritize care, and allocate resources. In many cases, these systems saved lives. Early detection algorithms identified diseases faster than human doctors. Imaging software spotted tumors invisible to the naked eye. Efficiency improved, but dependence grew. Doctors increasingly relied on AI recommendations without fully understanding their logic. When systems failed or produced biased results, consequences were severe. In some cases, AI underestimated the severity of illness in minority patients because historical data reflected unequal access to care. The machine learned that certain groups received fewer treatments, and it interpreted that as lower need. Education was not immune. Schools adopted AI tools to monitor student performance, predict dropout risk, and personalize learning. Surveillance software tracked online behavior. Automated grading systems evaluated essays. Admissions algorithms filtered applicants. While marketed as fair and efficient, these systems often favored students with access to better resources, reinforcing inequality. Perhaps the most powerful influence of artificial intelligence emerged in the digital public square. Social media platforms used AI to determine what billions of people saw every day. Algorithms optimized for engagement learned to promote content that triggered strong emotions. Outrage spread faster than understanding. Fear traveled faster than facts. In the United States, this reshaped political discourse. AI-driven recommendation systems amplified extreme views because they generated more interaction. Misinformation spread with unprecedented speed. Foreign and domestic actors exploited algorithmic weaknesses to influence public opinion. The line between organic conversation and manipulation blurred. Elections became data-driven battles. Campaigns used AI to micro-target voters with personalized messages. Political ads adapted in real time based on engagement. Voters saw different realities depending on their profile. Democracy, once built on shared information, fractured into algorithmic echo chambers. Meanwhile, the companies building these systems accumulated immense power. A handful of technology corporations controlled the infrastructure of modern life. They owned the data, the models, and the platforms. Their influence rivaled governments, yet they operated under minimal regulation compared to traditional industries. Executives spoke about ethics and responsibility, but incentives favored speed and dominance. The race to build more advanced AI left little room for caution. Once a system was deployed, rolling it back became difficult. Dependence set in quickly. The military recognized the potential early. Autonomous drones, AI-assisted targeting, and decision support systems promised strategic advantage. The idea of faster-than-human response times was appealing in an era of hypersonic weapons and cyber warfare. But delegating lethal decisions to machines raised profound ethical questions. What happens when an algorithm decides to strike? Who is accountable for mistakes? How do you prevent escalation when machines operate at speeds humans cannot match? These questions remain largely unanswered. As AI systems grew more complex, even their creators struggled to explain their behavior. Neural networks with billions of parameters produced results that worked, but could not be easily interpreted. This opacity became known as the black box problem. Society was asked to trust systems it could not understand. Trust became a requirement, not a choice. At the same time, AI began shaping personal identity. Recommendation systems influenced taste, opinions, and relationships. Dating apps used algorithms to rank compatibility. Streaming services curated entertainment. News feeds filtered information. Over time, these systems shaped perception itself. People believed they were making independent choices, unaware of the invisible guidance steering behavior. Autonomy eroded subtly. Convenience replaced deliberation. Life became optimized. For some, AI represented opportunity. Engineers, data scientists, and entrepreneurs benefited immensely. Productivity increased. New industries emerged. Wealth concentrated around those who controlled the technology. For others, the future felt uncertain and imposed. Public awareness lagged behind technological change. AI operated quietly, embedded in systems people used every day. There were no dramatic announcements, no single turning point. By the time concerns became widespread, dependence was already deep. Efforts to regulate artificial intelligence faced challenges. Lawmakers struggled to keep pace with innovation. Technical complexity made oversight difficult. Corporate lobbying slowed reform. Meanwhile, global competition pressured the United States to advance rapidly to maintain dominance. The fear of falling behind justified risk. Safety was postponed. Ethics became optional. Experts warned of long-term consequences. They spoke of alignment problems, unintended behavior, and loss of control. Some compared advanced AI to previous transformative technologies like nuclear power. Others argued it was fundamentally different, capable of recursive self-improvement beyond human limits. The question shifted from what AI could do to whether humans would remain in charge. As systems became more autonomous, human intervention decreased. Automation bias led people to trust machine output even when it was wrong. Over time, skills atrophied. Decision-making shifted from humans to algorithms not because they were perfect, but because they were fast. In emergencies, speed mattered more than understanding. The future many Americans imagined, a world where humans used machines as tools, was quietly replaced by a reality where humans adapted themselves to machine logic. Work schedules optimized for algorithms, cities designed for data collection, behavior nudged by recommendation engines. The transformation was not imposed by force. It was accepted through convenience. Artificial intelligence did not arrive as a villain. It arrived as a helper. It offered solutions to real problems. It reduced friction. It promised progress. That is what made it powerful. Now, the systems are deeply embedded. Turning them off would disrupt economies, governments, and daily life. The choice is no longer whether to use AI, but how to live with it. The United States stands at a crossroads not marked by a single decision, but by countless small ones made every day. Choices about transparency, accountability, and human oversight. Choices about whether efficiency outweighs fairness, whether prediction replaces understanding, whether control is surrendered for comfort. Artificial intelligence is not conscious. It does not desire power. But power accumulates where decisions concentrate. And today, more decisions than ever before are being made by machines. The future will not be decided by AI alone. It will be decided by how much responsibility humans are willing to take for the systems they have created. Whether society demands limits or continues to trade autonomy for optimization. Because once intelligence operates beyond human comprehension, reclaiming control may no longer be possible. And by the time that realization becomes clear, the decision may already have been made by a machine.